Good evening and a warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of Prime TV News. I'm Lahiru Waduge. Here are the headlines for top stories tonight. The President says individuals who benefited from the free education system in the country should give back to the motherland as responsible citizens. The Premier is set to visit Norway. Prevailing showery weather condition will continue. And in news overseas, death toll of Indonesia tsunami rises. Starting off with our top story in detail, President Maithripala Sirisena says during the past 3.5 years, the government has done a lot to strengthen the free education system as the future of the country and the nation depends on educated citizens. As the government is engaged in an extensive program to strengthen the free education system, all who have benefited from the free education system should give back to the motherland as responsible citizens. He made these remarks participating in a ceremony to vest the newly built indoor stadium at the Sirimavo Bandaranaike Vidyalaya in Colombo with the students today. The President was warmly received by the students of the school when he arrived at the venue. President Sirisena opened the indoor stadium by unveiling the plaque, and he also undertook an observation tour around the indoor stadium. This state-of-the-art indoor stadium was built with the sponsorship of the School Development Fund and Past Pupils Association of the Sirimavo Bandaranaike Vidyalaya, whose students have excelled in sports. Addressing the gathering, the President further stated that Sri Lanka's free education and free health systems are highly appreciated by the international community. President Sirisena presented awards and prizes to the students who excelled in school activities. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will leave for Norway tomorrow. During his official visit, the Premier is scheduled to meet Prime Minister of Norway Erna Solberg and President of Storting Tone Wilhelmsen Troen and Foreign Minister Ine Marie Eriksen. The Prime Minister will speak on bilateral interests. Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources and Rural Economic Affairs Vijit Vijayamuni Soiza, parliamentarians Kavinda Jayawardena and Hesha Vitanage have also joined the tour. The Premier is expected to tour in London following the Norway visit. The second session of the Special Parliamentary Committee on Ethnic and Religious Coexistence was held in Ampara under the patronage of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. The session commenced elaborating on the objectives of the committee. The attendees opined their views on ethnic and religious coexistence. Views were exchanged over the language policy of the country. They also discussed about the educational policies to engender religious and ethnic ties. Minister of Higher Education and Cultural Affairs, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, says Sri Lanka is among 7 countries in the world that boasts a written history that goes back to 2,500 years. Minister Rajapaksa made the comment at the launch of 34 books published by the Central Cultural Fund in line with the Literary Month. The event was held at the Apegama premises of Battaramulla. The minister said that though Sri Lanka is a small island, it has a rich written history. Even India does not possess such heritage. He pointed out that chronicles like Mahavansa are extremely rare in world history. The event was attended by Secretary to the Ministry of Higher Education, J.J. Ratnasiri, Director General of the Central Cultural Fund, Professor Prashanta Gunawardena, and several other distinguished people. Now, the Appropriation Bill 2019 will be presented in Parliament on the 9th of this month by Finance and Media Minister Mangala Samravira. The Cabinet has already granted its approval for the Appropriation Bill. Next year's annual state expenditure will be 4,376 billion rupees and the budget deficit will be 644 billion rupees, which is 4.1% of the GDP. The government revenue in the year 2014 was 11.5% of the GDP, and it was gradually increased after the unity government came into power, and it is expected to be increased to 15.1% of the GDP in 2019. At the same time, a surplus was reported reported for the first time after 63 years in the government's primary balance in 2017. 2,057 billion rupees has been allocated for debt servicing in 2019. This is the largest amount of money a government in the history of this country is compelled to bear in repaying its borrowings. Out of this amount, 1,271 billion rupees should be paid locally next year, while 786 billion rupees, which is equal to 4,650 million US dollars, should be paid to foreign lenders. Witnesses Tushar Sampath Ruwan and S.M. Nalaka Ruwan Disanayaka placed their evidence before the courts pertaining to the financial crime case of parliamentarian Johnston Fernando. Though a vice president of Grand Mosque of Kurnagala, M.H. Mohammed Milan, also appeared to give his evidence, examination was postponed as his identity was not proved. Witness Tushar Sampath said that he transported goods belonging to the Satosa under the purview of Shakir Mohammed. He stated that the goods were transported to several shopping outlets at the main street of Kurnagala and the Gettuana area. Senior Deputy Solicitor General Rakshana Abesurya requested the High Court to summon Assistant Elections Commissioner of Kurnagala for the examination. But the lawyers appeared on behalf of the defendants objected the request. The judge informed that stance of the court will be declared in this regard in the future. Further examination of the witnesses was postponed to 3rd of October. The suspects were further remanded. The court case on selling shares of a company called Digital Nominee, owned by an Australian person, illegally at a cost of 21 million rupees, was taken up before the Colombo High Court. Giving her witnesses, Janet Elizabeth stated that they changed name of their family business Shadik Group to Digital Nominee as they feared that Uday Gammanpilla would steal their assets. The name change had taken place in either in 2011 or 2012, according to the witness. Further examination of the witnesses was postponed to the 5th of next month. Meanwhile, the fundamental rights petition filed by former Presidential Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath and 2 others will be taken up before the Supreme Court on the 21st of this month. Gamini Senarath, former Managing Director of the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation, Piyadasa Kudabalage and former Samurdhi Commissioner Neil Bandara have requested the Supreme Court to issue an order preventing arresting of them by the FCID for a case being heard in a magistrate court. They have been accused of mishandling public coffers by diverting 4 billion rupees to Hyatt Regency Hotel project in Hambantota in 2012. Meanwhile, a controller of Import and Export Department was ordered to be re-remanded till 9th of October by the Colombo Chief Magistrate. The controller was remanded for soliciting a bribe of 200,000 rupees. He had demanded the bribe by threatening to cancel a recommendation given to import 2 vehicles from Japan. The suspect was arrested when soliciting the bribe at the Talawatugoda area by the sleuths of the Bribery Commission. Additional Magistrate of Colombo, Priyantha Lianage, ordered to re-remand former Superintendent of Prisons, Emil Ranjan Lamaheva, till 16th of October in connection with the assassination of 27 inmates of the Valikada prison in 2012. The Criminal Investigation Department stated that further investigations are being conducted regarding the incident. Meanwhile, the Bribery or Corruption Allegations Investigation Commission has filed a case against former Minister Kehelia Rambukwala. The Colombo magistrate ordered to take up the case on the 25th of January. Now, the Department of Meteorology warns fishing communities to refrain from venturing into the sea till 6 a.m. tomorrow. Temporary strong gusty winds and rough seas can be expected during thunder showers. Inter-monsoon conditions have established over the country. Due to the low-level atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of Sri Lanka, prevailing showery condition is expected to continue over the island during the next few days. Showers or thunder showers will occur in the most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Very heavy falls, about 150 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the north central, central and Uva provinces. Heavy falls, about 100 millimeters, can be expected at some places elsewhere in the island. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places in coastal areas in the morning too. There may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning activity. Heavy showers can be expected in the sea area extending from Matra to Potuville via Hambantota and in the sea area extending from Puttalam to Negombo. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the other sea areas around the island in the evening or night. Winds will be variable in direction in the sea areas around the island and wind speed will be 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. The Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources has announced a special warning to fishermen in the Koswadia, Venapua, Negombo, Gaul, Valigama, Devinura, Nilvalla, Kudavalla, Tangol, Hambantota, Kirinda and Kalmune areas. Deputy Director of the National Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, says the authorities have commenced a program to provide relief to the people affected by the incessant rains island-wide. He added that necessary funds have already been channeled to the authorities. The Criminal Investigation Department has been assigned to inquire alleged dispense of $7.6 million by a Chinese company to the Mahinda Rajapaksa's election campaign. The National Movement of Web Journalists requested the FCID on the 29th of June to initiate an investigation in this regard. The China Harbour Company, which was attached to the Hambantota port project, has pumped the funds to the Mahinda Rajapaksa's campaign, according to the New York Times report. $3.7 million had been given to the alleged parties 10 days before the January 8th presidential election in 2015. $678,000 had been allocated for printing T-shirts and other promotional materials. $297,000 was set aside to provide saris and other gifts to the voters in a sense of bribery. A Buddhist monk had also been given $38,000 who stood by the Mahinda Rajapaksa's campaign. The funds had been disbursed using an account of the Standard Chartered Bank. Mahinda Rajapaksa has never responded to the New York Times allegation so far. But the joint opposition issuing a special statement stated that Rajapaksa did not obtain any funds from China for the presidential election campaign. Minister Harin Fernando states that the trade war between China and the US has resulted fluctuation of value of the US dollar. Minister Fernando was speaking at a press briefing held at the UNP party headquarters. Harin Fernando further said that bigger countries than Sri Lanka have also been hit by the trade war between China and the US. He also said that when a journalist questioned former President Mahinda Rajapaksa about his plan to address the fluctuation of value of the US dollar, he was helpless. The so-called economic experts who backed Mahinda Rajapaksa were also unsuccessful. Meanwhile, parliamentarian Vasudeva Nanakara said that former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was unable to streamline economy during his administration. He added that the cause of the economic problem currently the country's faced has its roots with liberalism. He also highlighted that liberalization of import and export trade and currency flow has created a huge damage to the local economy. Senior member of the Karaka Sangha Sabha of Malwatha chapter, Venerable Aludgrama Dhammananda Thera, has passed away. The Venerable Thera passed away while receiving treatments at the Kandy General Hospital. He was at 103 years of age at his demise. Cremation ceremony of the Venerable Thera will be announced later on. Finally, on news at home, veteran actor Sunil Premakumara has passed away this morning. Sunil Premakumara had been receiving treatments at the National Hospital, Colombo. He was 62 years of age at the demise. Sunil Premakumara has contributed to a number of movies and teledramas, including Mamai Raja, Madul Duwa, Chandi Raja and Haturo. Well, that's all we have for today. Do join us tomorrow. You can log on to www.itnnews.lk for more news. I'm Lahiru signing off. Have a good night.